Yes, that's right. We are back for Mader Bros podcasting coming at you. I am your host, Jeff Mader, joined as always with co-host Jaemeel Robinson, here to talk about Survivor 41, episode 3, My $1 million Mistake. Yes, that's right. We are talking all about this episode. It's all about Brad and Shan and the Green Tribe, Jaemeel, and everything that was going on in this episode tonight that was a lot of advantages coming out of us. I think we saw like 3 or 4 advantages occur in this episode alone, and we're here to break it all down. Sadly, we see Brad go home. That's the story of the night. Rest in peace. I think gone too soon.
Too soon.
And I really don't think I think he got a raw deal. I think we're seeing a lot of raw deals early on here in Survivor 41, where I feel like the person that went home wasn't the person that deserved to go home. And deserve is a weird word in Survivor because it's all about strategy. But I wanted to see more of him and less of JD.
So this is where I disagree with you in terms of like deserve.
Mm-hmm.
When people use the term deserve, they think that someone is owed something.
Right.
But I think they are. People are owed sensical, measured like strikes. Like you get rid of people for a particular reason. The reasons that I've seen up to as of late have been poorly thought out reasons for why they would vote out one person versus the next. And I think, and truthfully, that some people deserve to be on the show because other people made strategic mistakes, right? Or miscalculations, and that's why they would still remain there or not. And I think Brad is a perfect example of someone who should still be in the game. JD should not be because JD's a terrible player, right? And Shan made a mistake putting her trust in that terrible player.
Yeah, and didn't need to. Like, we'll get to the vote later on, but she could have went another way here. People say, "Oh, what do you mean the votes were, against it and wouldn't have worked had she?" No, she could have went the other way here, and we will break down the votes in a bit. But JD, let's just talk a little bit about JD because tonight, like, everything about him was bothering me, and I don't think I'm the only one that's a Survivor fan. The metaphors galore with the crystal and with, here, don't break my crystal. And then Jeff, I was bullied, and whenever I went home, the only thing I ever put on was Survivor, and I'm all about woo and these second place people for some reason. I'll never understand it. But I think he's a panderer. He's a Jeff Probst panderer of the highest order. And I think he just doesn't come across as genuine. Like, he comes across as like forced. What do you make of that assessment?
You're absolutely correct. This dude, like, I can't buy what he's selling at all, right? If he told me to trust him and he was I'm holding the rope that he's holding on to keep me afloat, I would actually have thoughts about letting go. Because I don't trust this man. This man seems so ingenuine, right? What he's saying makes no sense. None whatsoever. You fashion yourself after some of the most beloved but non-winning players, like Wu and like who's the other one? Ozzy, right? People who were not strategic masterminds.
No.
Right?
Actually, in fact, quite the opposite.
And thus, especially in the modern game right now, would be destroyed or taken along and then discarded on the side of the road, while much better, smarter players would win. But you could say, okay, well, Shan maybe is using JD. I don't think Shan is even thinking that strategically as well. And
right.
Like, okay, we're going to get to this vote, but I'm telling you, there was a third option, and I think they should have taken the third option, in my opinion.
Okay. I also think that, much like our Big Brother coverage, Jaemeel, that I think what we're seeing here on these reality TV shows is a reset of the players and, like, their strategic acumen and how well they even understand the game. I think I don't think they're savvy players. I think they kind of go off gut instincts of what they think they should do rather than what they feel they actually should do. And we saw tonight Shan kind of wrestling with those demons, and I think she picked the wrong demon, to be quite fair, tonight.
Yep.
And maybe I think it will become her $1 million mistake, in my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but I think the foreshadowing of JD cutting her throat later on is not is definitely a probable premise. Let's put it that way.
JD, when push comes to shove, will put himself above other people, which is not necessarily a bad trait per se,
Right.
but in terms of you putting your faith, all your faith into a player like that, that's a bad decision. Same thing with Ricard. Ricard, I don't think you can really trust him that much, right? He just seems like he is going to, once there's like a tribe flip and it's you on another tribe with a whole bunch of people, if there's a disadvantage, he's throwing you on the side. Whereas Brad, I think Brad is someone that you can put your trust in and he will keep it, right? I think that there is a better path with Jeannie and Brad than there was with Ricard and JD. Right?
Yes. Oh, both, not only JD but also Ricard Jaemeel. I think are it's funny, they're the ones talking about, oh, Brad's not trustworthy, and like, I think he's the slimiest player in the game, Ricard. And I think the fact that I think Shan is just a bad judge of character here for the game of Survivor, because I think you're right. Like, she should have picked the more sensible people to go with here, and she didn't. Okay, so let's get into the episode a little bit here, where we talk about Leanna kind of wakes up and she's tending the fire, and there's an advantage there. And I'm like, she saw that, right? Like, how did she not see that?
I thought she saw it and she put it back.
That's what I thought too, but apparently not. And then all of a sudden, Tiffany finds it, and this is right after the Vochi vote. And this whole thing, I don't know. I don't like this yellow tribe other than Xander. I'm not pulling for any of these people on the yellow tribe. No, I don't like any of them.
I like Evie, but once again, some bad decisions. She made a bad decision last week, and there needs to be a little bit of damage control. One bad decision she made.
That's why I don't like her right now. I'll turn around on her. I'm willing to say that Evie, I can gain my trust later, but right now I'm not a fan because they voted out a person that I felt like did nothing wrong.
But once again, nothing wrong deserved. Like, it's not the matter that Vochi belonged there more than Tiffany. Vochi made more strategic sense to keep than Tiffany, who, as we see later on, is a complete like train wreck wild card that I don't think I can properly, if I was in this game, I don't think I can properly work and plan ahead with someone like her in the game.
Yeah, and JD is one of these characters too. I agree with exactly what you're saying, but what bothers me is when they vote people out based off just like a gender, or like, literally that's kind of what Evie did. And I think you're kind of not, Survivor's a game of like personal relationships, and we kind of saw that in the tribal council tonight and them talk about that. But that's really what it's about. It's about trust and getting to know that person. Yes, sometimes you have to cut a person because they're too big of a threat. That's a reason. Cutting somebody because, like, oh, well, we want to take out this guy, but we should take out the other guy just because we want girl power. I don't really agree with that. And I don't agree with the guy power either. I don't like those reasons.
You do what you need to do to get to the end.
Yeah.
Like, unless, like, I know a lot of people want to be results oriented and go, oh, yellow team, didn't go to tribal council tonight, so therefore they made the right vote. It's like, no, that's poor thinking. I think that yellow team won because green screwed up, as opposed to like JD. Yellow succeeding, above expectations now that they've got this dead weight off their chests of Voce, which is farthest from the truth.
let's like if they had voted out Xander and then even tonight or whatever, and they had the same challenge the next episode, the Yellow Tribe would literally have zero chance. They needed Xander to win the challenge for them today, and throw in those beanbags. Like at a certain point, like you do need an athletic guy on your these early challenges. And it sucks because I don't actually agree with this on the production side. I think they make these challenges way too difficult and way too male geared toward men. And so that I agree with. But like voting out guys or girls just to vote them out, I think is I don't agree with it, but I think it's because of production. Again, kind of what I was saying in Big Brother. I think production needs to make them more evenly balanced for both genders, so that this isn't a thing. Okay. So yeah, then Tiffany finds the advantage, Jaemeel, and so everyone gets to read it except Xander. And she finds out that she needs to sneak away in the middle of the night to get on a boat to go find out another advantage. And the same thing happens at the other two camps. So we have Brad find it when he's tending fire because JD's telling some sick jokes about Woo. And and Sydney is also finds it, notices that Nasir might see it, so she just goes over and picks it up, which I thought was smart. Actually, that's what I would do. The same thing. I would just go do it. So those three are what advantage boat getters, I guess you could say. So they all go see what the deal is with this advantages. So they have to choose between a tarp for their tribe or a solo steal a vote advantage. And they have to kind of negotiate between the three of them. Yeah. What should they do?
So they're back in the same similar situation where it's like, if all of them pick one choice, like the good choice, then all of them get the reward. If all of them pick the specific individual advantage, all of them pick it, all of them lose a vote. If one of them picks the tarp versus the steal a vote, and everyone else takes steal a vote, then the person who doesn't take the steal a vote will not get anything, and the other two will get the steal a votes. So in this situation, I think it was pretty evident what they should do, especially with how we see this game has been going on as of late. And I think all of them made the wrong choice for the most part.
Okay, so it was okay. I think that the person that chooses the tarp should still get the tarp here. I think I don't agree with this. We all have to choose the tarp to get the tarp thing. But I do think that there should be a risk to it as far as I don't think they should get to negotiate. I think it should be in private. I think their decisions and stuff. There's a few things here that I don't like because it's basically like, okay, they're hacking the game. And I think they want to see them hack the game, but I don't really, because I didn't make for an entertaining segment for me.
It didn't. All it just proved was Tiffany's insane.
Yeah, Tiffany's
or irrational.
Nuts. Yeah, and literally, like Sydney says to her, like, "Wait, you're a 4-person tribe. You're gonna want the tarp, then, right?" She's like, "I'm willing to do tarp," and then Brad's like, she was trying to get Tiffany on her side to basically pressure Brad to just do the tarp and forget about the steal vote, right?
Jeff, don't forget the comments section. I've been messaging you about it. Oh. We're getting messages.
Okay, well, I see this one. We have one from Mary Bass. I don't like any of them except the guy, which is referring to the Yellow Tribe. She likes Xander.
Okay.
And she also said, okay, sorry. And she also said, I agree with you. And I think she was talking about the Yellow Tribe again as well.
No, I think that just popped up recently when we're talking about the current situation with the three people, I think, concerning the tarp.
Yeah, and it wasn't super intriguing. I thought, like, again, I think what they should do is have them have to make those calls in private and not get them all to meet. I get they want some crossover. They're small tribes. I get why they're doing it, but I don't like it. I'd
So
rather
so
the
let me
intro.
give bust a scenario for you. If they all came to the island together and they have that initial meeting, first off, and then they had to sequester to three different areas, and they were each given a choice and have to base that choice on that initial only couple of minutes, maybe when they were walking onto the beach, and then they read the initial letter that tells them to separate. Do you think that would have been better because they would not have been able to discuss um, who's going to pick tarp, who's going to pick advantage, right?
Yes.
I agree. I agree. I don't think it should be discussed like at all. It should be you've gotten a couple seconds what you've seen with the person uh, during the challenges, and also this couple of minutes as we're walking onto the beach and we're reading the letter. That's all you get. You'll meet them when it's time for a merge or a swap, right? All this is doing, I feel, is cheapening the swap and the merge, right? Because they're gonna have like these long 10-minute, 20-minute conversations, even like days before they actually meet up together.
It's true. I just don't like the way they set it up. The monster is hungry and he's feeding too much. I think you need to separate these players a little bit, and I think they're just hacking the game too much, and the game should be a little bit more individualistic as far as the advantages for me. But that's how I feel about it.
I don't
Um,
think I don't think we're gonna see a lot of immunity use at all.
I agree. I think, especially with like, I do like this twist in this season that they have to work to get their immunity idol. I do like that twist because it's never been done before. And I think they used to be idol happy and it's like, you get an idol, I get an idol, everybody gets an idol. And it was Oprah. And I don't I like that they have to work for it, but at the same time, I don't like the disadvantage that they're putting certain players in. I don't like Brad tonight would have had a vote and he could have been, would have been 3-2 anyway, but it would have been different, like in some ways. Like I don't know. I just he could have played, then he could have played his steal a vote. There's a
It's
bunch of
well, it could have been it could have been technically uh 2-2 with like you could have came to the situation with Shan having to make a choice between two people on one side and two people on the other side, right? Because she's not going to do a 2-2 vote with Jeannie voting with Jeannie going for JD and JD and Rickard voting for Brad. They're not going to go to rocks. No one wants to go to rocks, so they just avoid that whole conversation. And her hand was forced that she had to go with the majority automatically.
but we also like he earned this steal a vote through this whole thing where they, through this boat challenge thing that occurred. So if at tribal council, Jaemeel, he could have stolen JD's vote, voted, and had Jeannie's vote, and it would have been a 3-2 against Shannon and Ricard, and they would have had the power. So that part I don't like. I do not like the no voting part until I like that they have to earn the immunity idol through like the secret word game, but I don't like the fact they don't get to vote.
I think the word like okay, the word game is fine, but they should change it every week, every challenge, so
Yes,
it doesn't sound the same. Now he has to say it for a third time. It's going to sound ridiculous.
it will for sure. So those things, I think they're ironing it out a little bit, but at the same time,
So
uh,
we have
eh,
some comments.
yep. So we have one here from Mary. But what are they going to do now? Meaning who?
The next,
Yep. Since Brad took his idol,
so
he doesn't have an idol yet, though, does he? I mean, he had the clue
yeah,
to eventually get the idol.
so they're going to put the clue back, or a new version of the clue back into the wild, so people can look for it.
And JD's gonna find it, and that's not gonna be that fun.
Most likely.
Yeah. Um. So I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things tonight where I feel like Brad kind of got a raw end of the deal as far as just how the show was set up, plus the way that like the Shan, I think also could have protected him, but chose not to, and that was her choice. But I think it was the wrong choice. Um.
Okay, so you're bringing up what my third option is,
Yes.
right? Speed taught me a very important thing, right? Shoot the hostage. Why didn't they just vote out Gene?
They could have. They could have. Why? Because I don't know. For whatever reason, Ricard didn't trust Brad.
Okay, so you say, hey, you don't trust Brad, I trust Brad, right? And JD, you want to get back in my good graces. Okay, I'm not telling you to, I'm not, I don't want you in a position to get voted out, but I'd rather vote out Gene. Let's vote out Gene. Right?
Yes.
Why not?
I mean, I think it would have worked. Yeah, I agree. But I don't know. It seems like Ricard had it out for. I think he's kind of like deciding things in this tribe. It's like
I
him and
think so.
Shan are kind of deciding things. And I don't necessarily think they should let him have so much power. He reminds me so much of Sash from
Yes.
21. Like he really, really does. And he also did this like kind of like manipulative, like cunning game. And I feel like Ricard is playing the same game, but it's like he's like almost like controlling things through intimidation. Like it,
He,
you know?
he is gone come merge slash tribe swap, which I think should be coming soon
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because chances are, like, I can already foresee it. He's gonna be paired up with Gene, and Gene's gonna like spill the beans on this dude so quickly. He's gonna
I
be
hope
so done.
so. I hope you're
So
right because I mean him and JD are like two of the most unlikable players I've seen play Survivor in quite some time, and not unlikable in a good way. Like
yeah.
Russell Hance was unlikable in a good way or whatever, you know, like even
Tiffany's unlikable in a train wreck way. That she's
right,
just like, these are like, I don't know if I could stand being in a room with this person talking for 5 minutes.
right.
I'm like, I gotta get some air. I rather it's 40 below. I'll go outside and just take a chance at a flu than stay in and hear this person continue to draw breath and exhale with sounds coming out. Okay, I don't want to hear it at all.
Yes. Um okay, we could also talk a little bit about uh the immunity challenge tonight
Did
as
you like
well.
it?
I never pay attention to like, well, this is the immunity challenge, and you know he does that whole like preview, like, yeah, you gotta dig this bag out. I always just like zone out, and then I watch the challenge. So like, and then it gets to the end, and they're throwing the bean bags. I'm like, that's the thing that matters. Everything else they're doing is just to get them tired, you know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm just like, why can't they just do the bag throw, you know?
You want to cut the preamble, just get
Yes,
rid of it.
I
It's
kind
like
of, or I want it to be like less daunting. Like, you know, I do feel bad for like a Tiffany, or you know, there's been lots of players that like they have to do these like monkey bar thing or whatever, and I'm kind of like I don't know, like is this necessary, Jeff Probst? Do you know?
I do feel you're right in the sense that they'll do a physical challenge that's only physical. They'll do a physical then that has a puzzle at the end of it. They'll do, but it'll be so late in the game where they just do a puzzle. Do a hard puzzle. Why
Yes,
why why aren't we doing hard puzzles? All right, and
yes.
you can only have one person work on it at a time, and you just swap people out. That's going to be very challenging,
Why can't
right?
we do a challenge in Survivor of like puzzle beanbag throw puzzle?
Yeah, why not?
Right? Why does it always have to be like you gotta swim and you gotta dig and you gotta get to the next thing and then you gotta dig some more and then there's a beanbag thing buried in the sand. You gotta get that. You gotta take that up. You gotta open the bag and then you gotta throw these things until you get them out. You know, like everything with what Probst does, he just likes to see people get tired. I think he's,
Yeah,
you know,
but like,
yeah,
I'm honestly, I'm 100% behind my puzzle idea. You in the blazing sun, no kind of coverage. You say, here is a puzzle. Finish
yeah,
this puzzle, but only one person can work on it. You're working on the puzzle, and you have the rest of your tribe screaming at you, telling
yes,
you to do things all the time, and you're like, I gotta switch out, right? It will put people on the spot so much, right? Even if you have like a timer limit where it's like you can only be working on the puzzle for 2 minutes and you have to swap out.
Yeah.
And the same person can go back into it. It there has to be another person in between, or two people have to be in between. You can go back again,
And you have
right?
to go for like a minimum like 15 seconds at least or
Yeah,
something, you know?
something like give me that, right? It will put dynamic. You think when Tiffany has the puzzle in front of her and she's like, I don't know, and they're like, no, don't touch the puzzle, you're screwing it up, put it back. No, it's like Tiffany's like, I got it. She messes up the puzzle. How frustrating and how great that will be in terms of drama in team dynamics. Give me that, like it's always the same thing where it's like physical players, we got to keep them at the beginning of the game, or we have to get rid of physical players at the beginning of the game. That gets old. We want a new survivor. New survivors say, hey, we might see a whole bunch of puzzles. We don't want this person, right? Or we need to keep the smartest person in the game. Big dumb jock NFL player over there ain't doing crap about it. We need to kick him. I think it's time to see the flip around it.
Yeah, I agree. Cause like, yeah, the big NFL player is just coasting through the early part until the merge, and he's gonna be like the first merge boot. You know what I mean? And like, I just think like they need to change the dynamic of like what Survivor challenges are to me. And I don't know. I think Probst is very much behind like the old school like yeah you gotta swim, then you gotta go dig something out of the ground, and then you do like it's always like a 3-part thing, and
Mhm.
it's always like physical, swimming, dig, puzzle. And like for me it's just like just do you're right, like do easy puzzle, medium hard puzzle, really hard puzzle.
Mm.
And that, I think they look at it as that's going to be bad for TV, but I think it would actually, like you said, would be great for TV. Imagine JD trying, I got this, guys, I got this, and stuff like that would be, I think,
He
fantastic to
keeps
watch.
calling to put himself in, right? And it's like, no, they're so close. No, put me in. I think I got it. I think I got it, right? That would get on people's nerves so quickly, and it will just kind of expose dynamics in the team.
Yeah.
That or why don't we have more like scavenger hunts we're on an island and none of the challenges take place in any of the bush at all.
So also noticed that, okay, so with this, there's really only two things to talk about with this mini challenge was really Tiffany doing the monkey thing and Jeff Probst being very proud of her actually doing it. He's like, you did it. Doesn't matter how you did it. It's not, how you got the score. You got the score. Um, and the other thing is the fact that Xander was throwing beanbags for his life tonight. And I was happy to see him pull it out because they said to Amanda when he got the first beanbag up, Xander did. And I was like, watch it. The blue team's going to finish first here. And I was like, they have the NFL player on their team. I'm like, he's going to finish first. And he did. And then we saw it was between the yellow tribe and the green tribe, and Xander pulled it out because JD was trying to be an NBA. I think he thought he was DeMar DeRozan, Jaemeel, and he was more like Tony. He was more like Andrea Bernani.
JD wants to be the hero. He wants to be the hero of the story, and that's why he's like, "Oh, this is how I'm gonna win because I'm gonna win." As opposed to Xander's like, "I gotta survive. If I don't get this, I'm God." Right? I just feel like there's different thought processes at play. Right?
We have a
Um,
comment here from Mary. She says maybe they're doing that because they don't want everybody to get rid of the physical competitors, just like the yellow tribe. And I think that's a good point. But at the same time, okay, maybe you do one challenge, you do puzzle, 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 and then the next one you do like physical thing, like we had tonight, and then you switch it up. You don't
yeah.
always do the same thing.
Mary, the unfortunate part about Survivor is there's two reasons why physical players are a point of comment uh, during the beginning of the game. Because a lot of the challenges are physically based. So, therefore, you either keep the physical people because you want to keep your tribe strong so they last longer to the swap and the merge, or you get rid of the physical person because you're worried about them going to a swap or a merge and being detrimental to your game, right?
Yeah.
It's always from a physical point of view and never raising up the fact that smart people who are able to do puzzles or are agile, they have value too, and that's the issue that we're calling out.
Yeah, and this is very rare actually for Survivor, like with what like Evie, the decision she made. She's like, and it does happen, but it's rare where they go, you know what, we're gonna make our tribe on purpose worse, you know, and it's like it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, and when it does happen, it actually usually works out for those people, and maybe that's what Evie knows, and that's why she did that. But I think at the same time, I don't like it, you know.
I think it does. It's a good strategy in the sense that you have a timeline, right? You unless you want to get pagonged, right? You got to
Right.
make sure that either something happens before you run out of tribe mates, right? Or you're going to be at a massive disadvantage, right? Like Stephanie, right? It was Stephanie who was the last one in that tribe, right? Um, anyways, uh, they have for their, let's say, their group, right? They have 2 weeks max, right? Two tribal councils they can actually survive because they'll get rid of Xander first, and then they'll get rid of Tiffany, and then they'll be down to was it not Natasha, Letitia?
Letitia, I forget her name.
They're like,
Starts with an L, you're right.
um, why can't I find her name? Liana, sorry, Liana,
Liana, yeah.
right? It'll be Liana and Evie, and right once again, you don't want to get pagonged, right? Because the chances of surviving is extremely slim. So you're putting a timeline in terms of you're throwing a risk situation, right?
Well,
I just feel it's a decision that you're making. It's you're rolling the dice and hoping that you can win a challenge to just make it to that swap, to that
I,
merge.
I'm not 100% about that, Jamil, because next week, if the blue team inevitably finds this immunity idol, now does it matter that the Brad got voted out with the idol in his pocket? But if it doesn't, okay, and the blue tribe finds it and says their phrase, and Xander goes, perfect, now I can vote and I'll have my idol. Tiffany is, and he's, she finds this out, or Tiffany's gonna swap on those girls. She'll flip on them so fast, and in the very least, Xander could play his idol, or he could force it to a 2-2 vote, and then it's rocks, like you were saying, and so yeah.
The thing about it though is that Tiffany is so unlikable. I don't think that Xander would pair up. I think he would most likely go back and say, "Hey, I have my idol. I'm going to use it tonight.
Yeah,
We should just vote out Tiffany." Right?
yeah,
And they'll
probably right.
go, "We have to," right? At this point, right? Unless they want to take a chance that that one vote is going to go against them.
I don't know. You know what I would do if I were Xander? I don't think he's so smart, but if I got the idol, I would come back the next, to tribal council, and I'd say to Tiffany, "Hey, Tiffany, I'm voting for Evie. So you vote Evie too, because they're gonna vote you, and it's gonna be, that's what's gonna happen. I'm playing my idol either way, and she's definitely gonna vote for Evie, and you know what I mean. And so that's kind of what I would do if I were Xander, because I would feel more betrayed by Evie, what happened last week with the Vochi vote. But
So,
that's just me. That's what I would
okay,
do.
but at the same time, you want to so let's say in your scenario,
Mhm.
he doesn't use his idol, but he convinces Tiffany to vote
Right.
for Evie, and he votes for Evie.
Yes.
So ends up in a 2-2 tie,
Right.
and then what will end up happening is they will have to vote again, but only for Evie and
Tiffany.
well, we
Well,
would
that
assume,
depends. That depends if they're
yeah,
willing to put the votes on him or not.
yeah, right. And if that's not the case, then and they don't change their vote, they're going to go to rocks, which Tiffany won't do. So Tiffany will change her vote and vote for him. So he would have to use his idol regardless.
Okay, so that's what I said. He's going to use his that in my scenario. He was using his idol regardless.
Okay,
So,
but I just went down the scenario of if he was trying to manipulate her to vote for Evie,
right, which he could still
and
do
save his idol,
because right, and save his idol. But he could, yes, he could tell her that. I don't think Tiffany's savvy enough to worry about the rocks on the first vote because she knows she's got 2 votes coming her way from Evie and Liana. And you know what I'm trying to say? So if Xander can use that, he could totally, use that against Evie and Leanna, not play his idol and still get the votes on Tiffany. That's the smart way to play it, really. But it's a gamble. Speaking of a gamble, let's talk about Brad in this episode with his idol and the whole thing with the broccoli being little trees and Xander thinking that was a pretty cool thing to say. He says that to him during the immunity challenge. But okay, should Brad have done this? Like he already had a steal a vote. He already has I don't know if does he have an extra vote? No, he doesn't. It's JD who has the extra vote on the green tribe. But and we'll get to that. But should he have done this? Should he have opened that beware? I guess the first one he opened worked out pretty good for him, so
Yeah.
he probably didn't think the second one was going to be that bad. But I don't know. The whole immunity twist is really kind of messing with players. I mean, Xander almost went home last week, and now Brad does this week. It seems like a curse.
I don't think you want to get immunity. I would wait till the merge to start going for immunity challenges. It doesn't seem worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze. You have to kind of put yourself out there to even get it to activate. Like the advantages are more advantageous than the immunity idol, and I don't think they will be until the idol won't be in play until merge time.
I think you're right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Shan catching JD with a piece of parchment in his pants after coming back from going to the bathroom.
Sloppy.
How do you make it that obvious that he had all the time? He was just in the bathroom,
I don't know why they even confronted him in the first place.
Yeah, well, I think it's because he's a very gullible kind of player. I don't think he's savvy. I think he's basically he was like a dog with his tail between his legs tonight, Jaemeel.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of wanted to feel sorry for him, but you were really just sad. You were just kind of really, I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
I don't like him, so I'm just like, can we just vote this dude out and just move on?
Yes. I have the same feelings. I don't like him at all. He's not rootable, but he thinks he is. Anybody who says oh, I'm so confident. It's just like, oh God. And, it's like anybody who says they're rich probably isn't that rich. Whoever, I don't think I think he's an insecure guy, and it really shows in a lot of ways in this show.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't understand Shan here from this point of view, as far as she gets him to give him this vote, this extra vote to hold on for safekeeping.
Can she use it?
I don't know. I see the rules of Survivor are weird. It's she asked can I have it to hold? And if she had voted him out, I think it would have been hers.
Why not?
That's why she should have done it. But
she should have done it. She should have done it. She would know where the idol is, right? And she would know where the idol is. So the next advantage or swap or the next thing that comes that is seemingly happening every episode where people interact with other members of the tribe, you go on that and you say, hey, I know who has the idol on your team, and this is who it is, right? And you build inroads that way, right? You have Brad on your team. Brad, who is a loyal individual, hard worker, right?
A good old country boy.
Uh,
Cattle ranch.
he is who you take with you. That's going to be angry at you at the end of the game, but is still going to vote for you. That's his personality.
Yeah.
That's a perfect person to team up with. Right?
I forget what season was it a few years ago, but there was a guy he wore a cowboy hat. I think they literally just called him Cowboy, and like they just dragged him into like Final Four, and then they cut him. And yeah, you're right, he was pissed off, but he was like, "I still like you, though."
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly who he is, and yeah, you don't keep around the erratic JD who's gonna like throw your plan under the bus at the merge or whatever to save his own butt. You know. He's not gonna kind of what He reminds me a little bit of Cochran in his first season, you know, like kind of that, overcompensating, kind of such a big fan and really sucking up the Probst and all this kind of stuff that Cochran did in his first season.
Everything has like a 20-minute explanation. It's like, no, man, you don't need to say like don't say 30 things to really only mean one. All right, that's what I hate. That's what I can't stand. Just say what you mean. Say it directly. Right?
Yep.
It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating because, like, I think, and maybe it's just because he's young and he's just excited, but at the same time, like, you have to have some self-awareness of how you come across to your tribe mates and especially at tribal council. And I think, the fact that they're literally keeping him around, kind of the same reason that I think Big D was kept around in Big Brother.
Oof.
Oh, look at this guy. Like, he is a train wreck of a player. Let's keep him around because he'll be easy to beat later, or he'll go before us. So he's a good shield because he's so bad. But other people will think that too. And then that's how he'll end up in the final three and think he's a great player.
I just feel like you do stuff like that. People also think about, okay, why are you taking this person? Why are you taking this person? And they automatically think poorly of you. They think poorly of you, right? And your gameplay. So they're not going to trust you if you're taking this person, like dragging them along with you.
Yeah. Well, like Brad said tonight, that the one mistake he made was trusting one person, which was Shan. And he got too excited with the game. And yeah, he shouldn't have told her a lot of the stuff. And we saw Xander make the exact same mistake last week. And it just goes to show that in this season of Survivor, especially with the way the twists are and they're taking away your vote, do not share that information. That's what I've learned in the last two episodes.
Yep.
Okay.
Information is key. And the fact that people are just seemingly so flippant with it is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
We have a comment here, just like Phil. I'm trying to think. Is that from Big Brother?
Phil Survivor?
Not sure.
So that might be the cowboy gentleman. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I was literally trying to look him up to find out.
Yeah, well, the cowboy guy was you're right, the exact person you want to bring to the end. Brad kind of was fitting that role, but he was like, I feel like Shan kind of got, again, a little spooked of the fact that he had all these advantages. And I think that's, Phil, yes. Yeah. Philip, you mean Philip, the special agent.
Special agent. I read some of his book. He released a book.
He released a book? Was it as good as...
No, it's like a fictional book.
Oh, it's fictional? Well, at least...
Fictional. About a secret agent.
You know what? Speaking of Philip, I mean, I'm not the least bit surprised that guy worked in the government at all. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, you worked in the government?" It's like that's the exact type of person the government looks for.
It's like people who say that they're surprised. They're like, you haven't really met who works in the government, have you? Because
yeah, exactly. Okay. Is there anything else as far as the overall episode here that I've missed? I feel like there's something that I haven't brought up.
Like honestly, folks, this
Oh,
wasn't the best of episodes. It wasn't the best of episodes.
There was one other thing, and we should talk because the Blue Tribe is barely on the show, but we should talk about the Nasir thing about throwing what is it? Danny and what's Deshaun under the bus in the middle of the night to Sydney. What did you make of this?
So Nasir's obviously trying to build inroads with people and trying to build up trust. But at the same time, because he's such a poor communicator, he is automatically on the outs, and everything that he said is being held against him, and they're just basically laughing at this dude. They're like, we're going to use this dude as long as we can, and the first chance we get, we're going to cut him. I think that they need to be very careful, because if they go into any type of merge or a merge situation and Nasir feels the way that he does, everyone's going to grab onto that. They're going to grab onto that, and they're going to use this dude to vote against this majority strong tribe. They're the kings, and the kings are going to get toppled if they keep with that type of attitude.
Yeah, well, I agree that they're going to be the tribe where the green tribe and the yellow tribe teams up to take them out and begong them. That's what I think is the more. I feel like that's where we're going.
Yep.
Which is very classic Survivor. The big tribe, the big scary tribe, with all the big guys that dominate all the team challenges. End up nobody does well later on, and I don't see a good character coming out of there other than maybe Nasir.
Nasir will be their John Cochran.
Yes, like Erica is not even on the show. Sydney's on the show.
Purple Erica.
I'm sad I picked her in some ways because I don't think she has any chance. I should have picked Evie. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Blue Tribe. We need to see them go to tribal before we really understand the dynamics. Right now, all I know is Nasir's going home if they go to tribal.
Yeah. But they possibly might never go to tribal before a swap or a merge of some sort.
I think they won't. Yeah, I think they are too dominant physically.
Right, and the other teams are a mess. They might just combine yellow and green the way it keeps going. Might as well.
Yellow is a bad color in Survivor.
Well, they'll give green. Well, that means the buff will be cheap on CBS.com and won't sell out. And they're probably going to have purple as the merge color.
Yeah. Purple or black.
Did they do black? I thought they did black for What Is at War, so I think they'll do purple.
True. Yeah, you're probably right.
We'll see it, folks. Keep track of it for us. Right? So we're going into tribal.
Yeah, so we go into tribal, and then we get all the metaphors, Jaemeel, about Crystal, JD, and he's broken his crystal, but he doesn't want you to break yours.
Punch me in the balls. My gosh, shut up. I could not be on this tribe because I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is the dumbest thing.
Jaemeel, it's kind of like having a mosquito bite where you just scratch, but that's the wrong thing to do.
I'll be Brody Bruce. It's like that is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. Exactly. And Shan, like, I don't know, she's just trying to just make Brad feel comfortable. Like, Brad's whole plan was to try to make JD feel comfortable, but Shan just kind of says, like, no, like, yeah, you broke him trust. And then we get the whole like red herring from Probst, like, hey, JD, did you like the way she answered that question? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, whatever.
Is anyone going to use the dice? Not until the end game.
I feel like he was like, you know what, he's smart enough to know certain things about Survivor as far as like, yes, it's way more valuable in the end game. But he's also like so oblivious. I think like he could have easily went home tonight, and I don't know. I just think JD's like he's kind of a gambler of a and like sloppy, in a lot of ways of a player. Who else voted here on this green tribe?
So JD, Ricard, and Shan voted for Brad, and Jeannie, one vote for JD because Brad could not vote.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think if And JD could have rolled his dice and gotten maybe the extra vote. But at the same time, I think Brad, I think he just shouldn't have told Shan anything. And I think he doesn't go home tonight. I think easily JD goes home. You know, they only voted him out because he had those advantages. And sometimes, yeah, keep your advantages close to the vest. Like what? That's what JD says to Shan too. Like in the pre-tribe stuff, like where he's like, no, you don't tell people about your advantages. And it's like you caught me, so it's even worse, you know? And he's right about that.
That just sounds like if a situation comes up again, he's not going to tell you.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it does kind of sound like that.
And it's like, okay, well, why should I keep you? Because I know if Brad like gets anything, he's gonna tell me, he's gonna sing. He's gonna sing like a bird to me, every single thing. And I'll know exactly where he is and I'll be able to move accordingly with that. You are too much of an X factor. You can have two X factors. You can't have Ricard and JD in your alliance.
I think Shan is going to. This is going to be her $1 million mistake. She's going to. This decision is going to cost her later on in the game.
I think so.
Maybe even next episode. Okay, so I think is that about it that we have to say when we see Brad go home. Do you want to talk about what's happening next week?
Do you want me to read Brad's confessional?
Yeah, read it.
Folks. So I left in my pocket a steal a vote and then an immunity idol. I made a multitude mistakes in the end, and I think probably put too much trust in one person. I just got wrapped up in the fun of the game, I guess, and then quite slowed down enough, see some more insights, but totally have the adventure of a lifetime back to the ranch where I can throw out myself with people I trust. I'm reading it word for word, and the only reason why I'm stumbling is because it literally, like, the words don't make sense.
Yeah, I think he is, when he says he's like a man that, I don't think he's a well-ventured man. He's a man that kind of hangs out, at his home and doesn't really have a lot of interactions with other people who, like he said, who aren't his family, or he doesn't trust implicitly. And I think that is tough for somebody like that. It's kind of like a homeschooler kind of.
His work speaks for him, and that's basically his love language is work.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yes, that's exactly true.
So I just feel, once again, he's the type of person that you keep. You keep this dude.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of him. You get rid of JD. JD is a situation is going to come up, and this is going to be his approach. Oh, this is just like blank did during blank. And it's like, no, I don't want you trying to emulate other people, right? Or role play, right? We're playing this game together. I need to be able to trust you, and I don't think you can.
Yeah, he literally was doing a word for word reenactment of Wu during like the whole idol search moment in Cagayan. And I was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, imagine you or me went out there, Jaemeel, we're like, I am the greatest player of all time. The big ass Dub Girl Alliance is gonna be mine. Gonna take them all the way in.
I'm gonna burn your socks.
I'm gonna burn your socks. Mick, he's so dumb. I'm gonna take him to the end. Oh man, I got that.
Yeah, you
do. Anyway, I just think what he's doing is very silly. Like, he's doing everything that he thinks he should do on Survivor and not showing us at all who he really is.
He's not playing in the moment, and I don't want to see that. I don't want someone to pretend or act like they're on Survivor. You're on Survivor. Play Survivor. Right? That's what I want to see. I want to see people play the game, not like, he could be in his backyard and do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Get his beads, have his long hair with the buff, and like reenact all the greatest moments of his second place players that he looks up to.
Yeah, which is so strange. Like Wu was not a good. Wu made one of the dumbest decisions in the history of Survivor. He decided to not take Chaos Cast to the end in a final two when every other season had been a final three, and he had the chance to cut Tony, who was definitely going to win,
Yep.
and he was definitely going to beat Chaos Cast because nobody respected her.
Yep.
And I just don't understand. Like he was a fun caricature, sure, but not a good game player,
No.
you know. And then you look, yeah, he also says Aussie, and it's just like he just likes like the young guys that like run around and like kind of get that airtime on the TV. He wants to be a
He
TV
wants
star.
the good looking like guy who is athletic and what season is Wu? It's Kagian.
I think it's 29.
Yeah. Yeah, Kagian's a great season. Right? And Wu not Wu, Ozzy is
Woo.
Wu um, is isn't Ozzy's first appearance in
Cook Islands.
Cook Islands, and then he's
Yeah.
also in Redemption.
No, he's in Micronesia, and then he was in South Pacific, I believe.
South Pacific, yes.
Yeah, those are his
three times.
Yeah.
3-time loser.
Yeah, and the third time he had a Redemption Island path to the end. He gets back into the game and then loses the challenge and gets voted out immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the only one he really had a chance to win was Cook Island. He got to the end of the game, and Yule beat him because Yule was more well respected as a person.
Yule was a better player.
But it was also a very close vote. I think it was a 1 vote difference.
Yeah.
But Yule
got. I would never think who are the best players ever, and I would not have Ozzy near the top of that list.
I certainly wouldn't have Wu. But like I would actually look at Wu as one of the worst decision makers as far as like when he actually had to make a decision. He usually chose the wrong choice a lot of the times. And he kind of relied on Tony in a lot of ways to kind of help him through.
Mm-hmm.
But like it seems like JD seems to just respect like the TV characters.
Yeah.
And I respect TV characters too, but they have to be savvy, for me to really like him. Like Russell Hantz is a great example. He's one of the best TV characters that the show ever had. But at the same time, he was a very good strategic player. He knew how to game that game. And same thing with Boston Rob, and same thing with Parvati. There's quite a few players that are good in in front of the camera, but also kind of knew how to play Survivor, and that's kind of the sweet spot.
It's just picking people who are just one note. It just seems like a very weird choice, right? To emulate, and honestly, it seems kind of childish. It honestly seems very kind of childish.
Yeah, he is a young guy, and he will probably look back at this season and think to himself, "Oh man, I was so naive and silly," and but at the same time, I think like he's one of these players that I do think would come back because he is smart enough to know the more you get on the TV show, the more likely they're gonna bring you back. Like Colton is a great example of somebody they brought back, regretted it. He quit the second time, and so like these are the type of players that Probst and the producers really gravitate toward because it's all about eyeballs and views and as we've literally spent the majority of this episode talking about JD, Jaemeel, and it's because
Colton should have been on Big Brother.
Yes, Colton would have been great on Big Brother.
Yeah.
There are quite a few players like that kind of should have went to Big Brother, and vice versa. Like Hayden probably should have played Survivor and never Big Brother. Even though he won Big Brother, I think he wasn't a great Big Brother TV character.
He just got in a good alliance and was able to make it to the end. Yeah.
Like Enzo is a good Big Brother character. I don't know how well he would do in Survivor. There's a bunch of that with the crossover between the two shows. Let's ask you this, Jaemeel. Who on this season would be good in Big Brother? maybe next season, for instance, or this season that we just watched. Uh, who stands out?
Um, who would be entertaining or who would do well?
Both, I think. I think we want a little bit of both.
Who would be entertaining? Honestly, in my opinion, I would love to see Evie play Big Brother.
Yeah, Evie
Right?
would probably be pretty good.
Who would actually be successful? Without seeing that much of her, um, maybe either supposedly Sydney is supposed to be a mental case. I don't know from kind of the previews.
Yeah.
Maybe Liana.
I think Ricard would probably be fun to see on Big Brother.
Yeah, I just would not like him though, but he would be fun to see.
No, I think he'd be good on Big Brother because we wouldn't like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are some blah people here on Survivor. I don't think that would like Nasir might be actually good on Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy and Deshaun, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Tiffany would be a mess, and that would be good.
Right.
JD, no. Heather, no. Xander, I've seen way too many Xanders on Big Brother.
Oh,
No,
so
thank
many.
you.
He would be cast. That's the problem.
Jeannie, but she would probably be the oldest person on the cast and would immediately be voted out.
Yep.
Erica, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know anything about her really, other than she's from
Purple Erica. Purple Erica.
She is right now Purple Erica.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we're about good. I think we've said our piece for this episode. My $1 million mistake.
Okay.
And
so we do the episode rundown. The where you can hear us next.
Yes, you can hear us next here for the Survivor podcast next week, episode 4. What's it called, Jaemeel? Do we have that?
I do have the title for the next episode, and it's called IMDb. No, it is called.
It's called IMDb.
My favorite. It's called "They Hate Me Cause They Ain't Me."
They hate us because they ain't us.
No, they hate me because they ain't me. That's the exact term.
But it reminds me of the interview. They hate us because they ain't us.
Yes.
Right. Okay. But yeah, so you can watch us next week to cover that episode 4. We also, Jaemeel, cover Star Trek Lower Decks over on Live Long and Podcast. That's coming up tomorrow. You, me, Davin, if you can make it, to cover the Lower Decks.
Yes.
I don't know what the episode, but it's been good. That show is getting better and better, and really enjoying it. Monday's is TED Trek. I think that's been on hiatus, but my dad is now back from vacation, and I believe Dave will be back in the country by the time that rolls around. So I think we will have a TED Trek coming up this week.
So the original series on Monday.
Original series. We have on Tuesdays, we just did it last night, Deep Space Nine at 9-ish. We will be covering, let me just pull it up here, Crossfire. This is all about Shakar. So Kira is in love. So stay tuned for that. And other than that, I think, am I missing any? Oh, Trivial Debates. We also have Trivial Debates. That will be coming up at the end of the month of a very special Halloween themed episode. Don't know who's hosting yet, but we will figure that out.
I suggested one of contestants because I had a friend listen to an episode, and he was very angry at Chris Seymour and swear he can do better. So
I don't know if he can. We also point you over to Locutors of Trek, hosted by Davin, who joins us last night, and he will be joining us tomorrow night for Lower Decks. That's a kind of a philosophical Star Trek show, so that's available anywhere you can find podcasts. There's also Let's Talk About Fighting Games from my nephew, Eamon Mader.
Yes.
I don't know how many episodes they've done, but it's quite a few, and they break down fighting games. What more do you want if you like fighting games?
It's worth the drive to Acton.
Exactly. And that, I think, is it for all the plugs, if you will.
Yes.
For all of us here at Super Mader Bros Podcasting, I'm Jeff Mader, joined by Jaemeel Robinson. We say the tribe has spoken.
Come on, guys.